I want to say thank you for giving us your time. Thank you so much for joining us today. Today, we are going to be looking at something very interesting. We've tried to do it before, but yes, we've tried to do it before, but it didn't work out as planned. So today, we are going to look at it very critically. And the thing is, the case of Mazi Nnamdi, in fact, the Ndigbo situation of Ndigbo in Nigeria and the Nigerian media. Nnamdi Kanu case have taught us a lot of lessons as people, and we've learned what we don't know before. And what did we learn from Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's case? It's very simple. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is a political prisoner. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is a man who asked the Nigerian government to allow his people to go peacefully, to allow his people the privilege to conduct a referendum where United Nations will be there to observe, United States will be there to observe, the Nigerian government herself will be there to observe, and every other concerned state will be there to observe if they so wish to. Now, this young man asked for such thing, and Nigerian government tagged him terrorist, tagged him evil, called him a lot of names, condemned him. In fact, they sought to take his life. And now Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is a citizen of United Kingdom. He resides in UK. And Mazi Nnamdi Kanu traveled back to Nigeria in 2015, and Nigerian government arrested him. Nigerian government arrested him. They put him in detention for a long time. Luckily to him, his lawyers keep fighting. And one day, the court granted him bail on condition. And he was able to meet the bells, according to he met the bells, and the Nigerian government allowed him to go to his house. He reached his home at night. Nigerian military, this is not allegedly, this is confirmed, on record, provable to any court, to anywhere, undeniable attempt. Nigerian military went to his house to unalive him, and he escaped. And Nigerian government unalived not less than 10 people in his residence. This is a man you took to detention and took him to court. Court granted him bail. Luckily enough, he was able to meet up his bails, and he allowed him to go home. Upon arrival, you guys came to unalive him at night. And this young man flew for his life. He disappeared for a long time. No one knows where he was. Many people was assuming that he's dead. But unfortunately and luckily to him and to Ndigbo, he was spotted in Israel, where he's praying, asking God to intervene. After that, he continued the journey to grant his people freedom. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu flew back to UK. In UK there, he started to preach the good news, exposing the evil secret of Nigerian government. And Nigerian government got angry again. They now began to do a lot of things to bring him back home, to put him to prison, perhaps to take his life. Unfortunately, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu went on a trip in Kenya, and Nigerian government kidnapped him in Kenya. They kidnapped him wanting to take his life. But God was kind enough to Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. God saved this young man. And this young man, in the hand of his enemy, this young man was handcuffed, beaten, treated like a common criminal. They took him to Nigeria. And there in Nigeria, they took him to court. And the court asked them, where did you bring this man? They said they brought him from Kenya. Under which law permits you to go to Kenya unannounced and kidnap somebody and brought him here? How did you do it? Under which law? Which court? Which law permits you to do such a thing? The court then said that Nnamdi Kanu has no case to answer. Even if there is anybody to be charged, it's going to be Nigerian government, because Nigerian government has committed what is known as international. What they committed is against international law. You don't go to another man's territory to commit kidnapping crime without a proper arrangement by law, backed by law. Nigerian government says, you know what, we are going to allow Mazi Nnamdi Kanu to go. And they allowed the young man to go. He just came out of the court, and Nigerian government rearrested him again. Took him to court, took him to their prison, to their detention center, and there Mazi Nnamdi Kanu has been up to today. What they are doing is they will take him to court today, they will go and amend and do all sorts of things. But we are going to focus more on the action of Nigerian media against Mazi Nnamdi Kanu and Ndigbo. And what lesson can we say as a people that we've learned from this their character? Now, this is what happened. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is even popular than the current president of Nigeria, being Mr. Ahmed Tinubu. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is a political prisoner. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, all eyes are on him, including the Nigerian government, including the international body. But do you know what Nigerian media did to this young man? This young man was brought to court. Among the two national television we have, only one was there. That was Channels Television. I respect them for the good job they did. Arise News was never in that courtroom. Arise News didn't even report what happened in that court after the appearance of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu in Nigerian court. I waited patiently until today, Sunday. Yeah, what's today's date? Today is Sunday, 16th of February, 2025. And now Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was brought to court on February 10, 2025. That is 6 days gap. I waited a lot to see what they can do, if they can repent, or if they can at least call a legal expert to look into the matter. Because Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's matter is not just ordinary matter. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is a high-profile person and political prisoner for that matter. I strongly believe that when somebody's come to you and said, even in marriage, legally in the court, you can decide to go separate ways and no one can question you, because that is your right. You deserve to be happy. And why did Mazi Nnamdi Kanu even ask for referendum? What happened? I wouldn't want to take you much far. I wouldn't want to say, oh, you know what, I'm going to go back from the beginning of Nigeria, because all about Nigeria has been fraud, But I want to at least start from the immediate request of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu and his people, the Igbos. Why did they ask for referendum? And why are they so interested and so much focused on referendum? Very simple. Nigerian government has failed to lead, to grant equal rights, to grant equity, to grant justice to all parts of the country. And it is visible. It is not accusation. It is visible if you are interested to find out. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu comes from the part of the country called the eastern part, the Igbos. And there is 3 major tribes in Nigeria, as you know. The east, the west, and the north. Right? The west are the Yorubas, the east are the Igbos, the north are the Hausa Fulanis, so-called. Now, what Nigerian government is doing is Nigerian government is getting her money in the Eastern Territory. But Nigerian government has no presence. They have not even a single infrastructure in that part of the country called Eastern part, except lately that they went to build what they call Second Niger Bridge. Second Niger Bridge they built that have spoiled a lot of things that is unimaginable. You know, now these people refuse to develop the countries as it should. But we see what they are doing in the south, we see what they are doing in the north, building railroads in the north, building railroads in the south, building infrastructure massively, building roads massively in the other part of the country and abandon the east. And this is what I've been telling my African people. I do not know why we are not learning. I do not know why we have failed to learn from mistake of others. I do not know why we have failed to realize that I am not your enemy. Rather, I am your brother. Look at what is happening in DRC Congo. The same situation is what is happening in Nigeria. We are three that owns this country. And what is feeding the country is coming from my house. The other two brothers are just enjoying what they are getting from me. But when they get the thing, they refuse to give me my own share. They take all. Look at Congo. What is happening in Congo? Simple, the government of Congo is taking the mineral resources in the eastern part of Congo. And they refuse. They fail to accept those living in the east as fellow Congolese. Rather, because they are speaking language with the neighboring country, they ask them to go to that country. That's where they belong. If you don't want to be with them, it's very simple. The land originally belongs to them. What do you have to do? You give them their own country, or you say what? You know what? From today, eastern part of Congo cease to be Congo. Rather, they are so, or they are Rwandese. So from that day, you put a real border. That east will belong to the people living there, because originally, through history, it belongs to them. It is the colonizers that came and shared Africa to their own interests. And they didn't care your tribe, they didn't care about anything. Now, those fighting in the Congo, they are brothers. Now look at the scenarios in Nigeria today. If you dig deeper, I strongly believe in me that the Igbos, the Hausas, the Yorubas are families. They are brothers. Inasmuch they have lived there for how many years? They have been there since history can remember. And they are the indigenous people that owns the land. The Easterners are the indigenous that owns the East. The West are the indigenous that owns the West. The North are the indigenous to their land. How can you tell me that your neighbor has no relation, that they have no blood relation with you? Now you allow the foreign power to come and divide you, to come and destroy you, to come and use you against you, because that is what I call it. When I see Igbo fighting Yoruba, I see you as somebody who has no sense. When I see Yoruba fighting Hausa, I see you as somebody who is on colors. If I see Yoruba fighting Igbo, I see you as the most foolish. I do not want to use harsh word. I don't mean to insult anybody. Not at all. That is not in me. But I'm telling you that you are making a mistake by refusing to understand and to accept the reality that Igbo, Hausa, Yoruba are not enemies. Rather, they are brothers. And in cooperation, in unity, that part of the world will develop. Now, what did Nigerian media do that offend me so much? A high-profile person like Mazi Nnamdi Kanu appeared in the court, and Nigerian media didn't cover it. Even the channels that covered it, they didn't do much work on it. There was no legal expert invited after the after the appearance of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu to do what? To dig deep in the matter and see if what Mazi said is correct or wrong. China tried by bringing up one of their personnel, one of their workers, to look into it. And I'm glad that the guy was honest enough, even though he's a Yoruba. Yes, there is a lot of good people in the Yoruba land, you know. And the guy made it very clear and said, you know what? In as much as the judge have recused herself from Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's case, she has no other right to try Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. If she truly want to, she's got to go back to court and bring court order that gives her the right. But how about Arise? What did Arise News do? Arise didn't go to the court to record what is happening there. Arise did not even invite even a single legal expert. Do you know the worst? You know, O.G.B always come out every morning to report what is trending. But that didn't appear on their media. Even on what is trending, they didn't do it. Why am I bringing it up now? I am not calling for any kind of hatred towards the Arise News. That's not my aim here. But I'm trying to tell you that is listening to us that you've got to know your stand and know how you plan yourself in that part of the country. And why is so much hatred about the Igbos? Why? That is what is. I don't even know why. You know, like if I try to imagine it, I'm kind of like, what could be the cause of this enviness? Because this is not even a hatred; it is envy. What are you envying the Igbos about? What is your problem? What do you want? You know, like if you look at the country, it seems like the Igbos are the most prosperous. But I guess that is not true. I will tell you why. Look, in that part of the world called Nigeria, the Igbos are not the richest. The Yorubas and the Hausas, they are the richest. I will give you an example. If you count the first 2 billionaires in the country, or if you count the richest people in that country, they are from the Yoruba tribes. They are from the Hausa tribe, not from Igbo tribe. Igbo's billionaires are perhaps more in number. But those that have the real money, the huge money, they are from the Hausa and the Yorubas. So why the hatred against the Igbos? Yes, there is one ideology, there is one way that the Igbos has been trying to manage themselves, and it seems like they have been very good at that. And what are the things they are doing that seems to be different from what others are doing? The difference between Igbo money and Yoruba money and Hausa money is that Igbo money spread like water. Like Igbo money can be seen at least little in every family. It's like a shared stuff. But if you go to Yoruba, the difference between their money and Igbo money is that their money is only on few people's hand, even though they have more money. But the money are in few people's hand. If you go to outside, the same thing. Why are you envying Igbos while you have more money than they do? If you think that they manage themselves better, why not study them and learn? You know, this is the problem that Africans have. And I hate it. I do not like it. The thing is, they do not want to study and learn why they are backward and others are prospering. But they would want to criticize. That's why I do not believe in criticism. Whenever I invite anybody here, I will tell you, listen, you are very free to make your recommendation, but we are here to promote peace and unity. If you think that you have a better opinion than I do, that is welcome. What I would like to hear from you is, why do you think that my own opinion is not the best? If you think that your own opinion remains better, tell us, what is your opinion? What do you think we've got to do to get these things done and working perfectly? That is our target on this channel. We are not here to criticize anybody. And I am saying to my fellow Yorubas and fellow Hausas, my people, I call you my people because you look like me. At least that gives me confidence that we are the same, right? Whenever someone from China sees somebody from Japan, like in outside the continent or even in China, you are not going to say, "Oh, it's not my people," because if you look at yourselves, you guys look very familiar. So the difference might be you come from Japan and I come from China. So when I look at you, who is a Yoruba or Hausa that looks like me, I'm going to call you brother. I'm going to call you sister. And why on tell me the reason why you cannot live in peace with your neighbor, but you leave your house and travel to another continent and expect them to treat you well. And when they do not, you complain that they are racist. Who is actually a racist? Let's look at it. See? So what I'm trying to say here is that it is better that we live in cooperating, understand our differences, accept our differences, and come together on a table to discuss our differences and how we can manage them. The reality is that there is differences, but here is the answer. It can be managed. I would give you examples. Look at United Kingdom. United Kingdom is 3 kingdoms. They understand their differences and they had discussion about among themselves, and they come to conclusion what we are going to do is Scotland, you are going to be free to live according to the way of your people, have your own local constitution, your own local police, and perhaps we as United Kingdom are going to have one currency and one military and one prime minister. And also we travel to America, United States of America, USA. Look at what America did. America is too big, 50 states. What did they do? They said, okay, we have some Spanish among us. We have also indigenous people. We have also English people. So how can we make sure that we are all living in peace? What America did is that America allowed individual states to have their own local constitution, guiding them according to their way of life, guiding them according to their agreement. And they are privileged to have their own police. Do you see? They've got their own police, they've got their own Supreme Court, they've got their own Senate. And that is why you see in America, there is nothing like, I want a referendum, I want to go. Now, we go back to UK. UK, with all the freedom they have given to individual regions to control themselves, but still, Scotland still made a request that they want to be their own country. What did UK did? United Kingdom granted them the freedom to conduct a referendum. This has happened more than 3 times, and they failed to secure majority vote. Why? In a society that has equity, in a society that has justice, in a society that respects individual way of doing things, it is going to be very difficult for anybody to wake up one day and tell you that I want to go, I want a referendum, I do not want to belong to this family anymore. You cannot secure the enough vote because even your people wouldn't like to leave that big family they are into already. Why is Nigerian government so afraid of allowing the East to have? They know they have committed a lot of atrocity against the Igbos. They've done a lot of bad to these people. And they are very, very sure that if a referendum should be given to the East today, that almost nobody in the East is going to vote to remain in Nigeria. Almost, I said. So they know what they're doing. It's very simple to know that as a Igbo person, you've got to understand your stand. And you've got to know that you are on your own. And it's very unfortunate that the leaders in that part of the country is not actually thinking about the people. But anyway, my message always is for the average people, because when you look at these leaders has become so selfish that they don't care about anybody anymore. That is why the most two dangerous people here on the planet Earth, number one are the politicians, number two are the billionaires. You know why? A politician has no interest to help your future. Rather, what they are more interested in is how they can win the next election. They can only help your future if helping your future will lead them to win the next election. Minus that, they won't care about you. Billionaires, their own challenge is that they focus more on making more money. Yes, they are more interested in what will give them more money, and they don't even care if abandoning the entire society will make them to be greater than who they are now. Why I always appear on this map of Africa is that to tell you, I believe that Africa can be greater than the imagination of the people in that continent. And I also believe for Africa to be great, it takes you and me, the average ones. This current elite in the continent, in all the states in that continent, they cannot help you. They cannot help me. They are more selfish than you can imagine. Now, when I say Africa can be great, what do I mean? Do I really mean that one day Africa will just become another America? That is not what I meant. What I always try to tell people is I am among those that do not subscribe that Africa should have one government. Not at all. Not at all. We can have a brotherly relationship which will allow you to come to my state, do your business, do whatever you would like to do, and go back to where you come from. Perhaps if you want to reside there, you've got to obey the local law. But to have a single government governing all the continent, that is not going to be a favorable idea to the people. Now, for today, we are going to limit it to this issue of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. So now, Nigerian media have turned against the Igbos. The government have turned against the Igbos. The other tribe have turned against the Igbos. Even the religious leaders. Now, what is the hope of an Igbo man? I will always try to tell my people that the best thing you can do for yourself is to understand that the beginning of your prosperity is the restoration of Biafra. When is it going to happen? I don't know. But is it going to happen? Yes. And how can it happen? It can happen tomorrow if you and I agree that it is possible. I have a lot of friends who will always tell me this can be possible, but they are only afraid of the consequences, like consequences along the process. But the reality is that there is no way to achieve it without paying a price. I will use the example of life of Donald Trump. Donald Trump is a good friend of mine. Like, I listen to him often as much as I can because I like the courageousness in him. I like the way he tried to understand that nobody is coming to rescue him, but only him can rescue himself. Perhaps with the help of the bows from above, our Lord Jesus Christ. Now, we cannot fear consequences and abandon the reality. I want to tell you something. The fact is, moving front is dangerous, but there is more chances of success in moving front than staying where we are. Because if you stay where you are, you've got to accept that you can be unalived at any moment, which is what is happening in the country now. But moving front